What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. We hope all is well wherever you are. We hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and that you are excited for the conference championship round of the 2020 NFL season. That's right. The calendar says 2021, but this is the 2020 season. There are 3 games left. 2 of them will happen next Sunday when 2 teams punch their ticket to Super Bowl 55 in Tampa Bay. Speaking of Tampa Bay, whatever you want to call it, the Buccaneers are one of 4 teams who will be playing in the conference championship. We now know who it is, all final 4 teams. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers will visit the Green Bay Packers on Sunday afternoon at 2:05 p.m. Central Time, 3:05 p.m. Eastern, and the Buffalo Bills will visit the Kansas City Chiefs after that. 6:40 p.m. Eastern is the kickoff for that. Which 2 of these teams are going to be competing for the game's ultimate prize? If you care about my money's worth, I think the Packers and Bills are going to be the teams that ultimately square off in the Super Bowl. Obviously, I do think this is kind of an underrated element to this game, the NFC Championship, that is. Tampa Bay, obviously, the Super Bowl is in Tampa Bay, and I know that fans haven't been present at games the way they have been normally for all of time, but still, that is really cool that for the first time since 2017, a team is a game away from hosting the Super Bowl, which would be very cool. The Minnesota Vikings could not do it, and because they couldn't, the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl, and we were very pissed off about that as Cowboys fans. Maybe the Buccaneers can. I don't think they can, but maybe they can. I've said the word can so many times now that it sounds weird. Shout out to Ted Lasso, who understands that principle. But anyway, let's get back to football. Let's talk about what's going on. 4 teams left in the NFL. One of them, obviously, the Green Bay Packers, which brings us here for our discussion today. The Green Bay Packers moved on from Mike McCarthy following a disastrous middle to the 2018 season. They fired him before the season was over. Obviously, did a lot of soul searching over that offseason, hired Matt LaFleur, and here they are in an NFC Championship game for the 2nd year in a row. And there's a lot to discuss when it comes to that because Mike McCarthy is obviously the head coach of our Dallas Cowboys, and it's fair to wonder what all of this means. Let's take a look here. Now, Mike McCarthy, since the Green Bay Packers fired him, you look at where they are. They are 26-6. All right, the Green Bay Packers have lost 6 games in 2 years since firing Mike McCarthy. Meanwhile, the Dallas Cowboys lost 10 games in his first season with them. Not apples to apples by any means. What's more is Aaron Rodgers is very likely going to win MVP this year. Aaron is somebody who I think a lot of us thought was a little bit washed, at least a year and a half ago-ish, and he has proven all the doubters wrong. He has proven all the haters to be stupid. Aaron Rodgers is the best, blah, blah, blah. We know it. And what's more is that the Green Bay Packers, in their 2nd year under Matt LaFleur, and for the purposes of this conversation, in their 2nd year without Mike McCarthy, are appearing in their 2nd NFC Championship game. So what is it here? Because it's fair, right? You likely have a friend or a family member or somebody on the internet, so maybe somebody here on the Blog of the Boys YouTube channel like me, saying that this is a point of concern. Is it though? Is it, something to really kind of, get all into a tizzy about? Because I think it's fair to say out loud all of these things, right? It's fair to look at the success that the Green Bay Packers have had since firing Mike McCarthy and be a little concerned about it as a Cowboys fan. It's also fair to add a lot of context, to add everything that has happened in the time since then to both the Packers and the Cowboys. And so let's start there. And the way to start, the place to start, I think, is with the person who took Mike McCarthy's job, or rather was given the job, obviously didn't take it directly from him, Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur is somebody who was part of the, you will remember, early on in the 2019 calendar year. There were all the jokes about Matt LaFleur and Cliff Kingsbury had a cup of coffee with Sean McVay, so that's why they were getting all these NFL jobs. Well, Matt LaFleur turns out is a pretty ballin' head coach in the NFL. The jury's still a little bit out on Cliff Kingsbury. Like we've said, like we know, like we all know very painfully, this is Matt LaFleur's 2nd season in the NFL as a head coach, as the head coach of the Green Bay Packers, and it is his 2nd NFC Championship game. The Packers actually are going to host this title game on Sunday. It's the first time the Green Bay Packers have hosted the NFC Championship game since 2007 when they lost to the eventual Super Bowl champion New York Giants. By the way, the Cowboys also lost to that team the week before in the divisional round. I know, still hurts me too. Last year, obviously, the Packers were in the NFC title game, and they got the doors blown off of them by the team that would lose the Super Bowl, the San Francisco 49ers. But Matt LaFleur, I think, doesn't get enough credit, honestly. I think that he has proven himself to obviously be more than somebody who worked for Sean McVay. He has proven himself to be an incredible head coach. He is still very young, in his early 40s, very early 40s, and he has handled a very rough situation. When you consider that the Packers drafted Jordan Love in the first round this past year, obviously there were a lot of thoughts, I think, and a lot of fair criticisms about Aaron Rodgers. He has navigated all of that to the point that you look at this offense as a whole, and even this defense as a machine. This is, without question, the most consistent team in the NFL. I like the Buffalo Bills more than any team that's left. They're my favorite of all teams that are remaining. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to win the Super Bowl, but I think they're going to beat the Green Bay Packers because I think the Packers have played the most consistent level of dominating football from season's beginning to this point. You look at all the wins that the Final Four teams had in the divisional round, I think the Packers won with the largest level of authority, and in an interesting bit of a twist, they beat Sean McVay. So Matt LaFleur, I think, is somebody who, yeah, it sucks that the Packers have had a lot of success, but some of it is obviously attributed to their head coach and Matt LaFleur. But the biggest reason that the Packers have had an enormous amount of success over the last 2 years, much to the chagrin of all of us as Cowboys fans, is because of this dude. Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback on earth. It sucks, at least this season. I acknowledge, obviously, Patrick Mahomes is better than Aaron Rodgers in a vacuum and is going to be better than him when his career is all said and done. But in terms of who these dudes are today, go look at the data on your newspaper or your digital newspaper, Apple News, whatever you use. Aaron Rodgers is playing at a higher level than anybody else in the world. And that is kind of a big reason why the Green Bay Packers are having so much success. He's going to win MVP this year. And again, there was legitimate data to support that he was washed. Take a look at this great tweet. Ben Baldwin does a lot of great work analyzing, studying the NFL from a statistical and analytical perspective. You look at it, Aaron Rodgers in 2019, again, this is Ben's tweet, was worst in the NFL at avoiding bad throws. Number 16 in on-target throw percentage. Aaron Rodgers in 2020, this tweet is, by the way, from Christmas Eve. Aaron Rodgers in 2020, third best in the NFL at avoiding bad throws. Number 2 in on-target throw percentage. So you look at this, obviously what sort of renaissance happened here with Aaron Rodgers? Was it just Matt LaFleur? I think it was that Aaron Rodgers got a little pissed off, and I don't attribute it entirely to the Jordan Love thing. I think Aaron Rodgers is an all-world quarterback. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame someday. He's one of the most talented people to ever play this game, specifically play the quarterback position, and he rededicated himself. He refound himself. He's incredibly smart. He's brilliant. He's incredibly athletic and talented. All of these things are true. They're super annoying, but they speak to how Aaron Rodgers was able to re-find a high level of success. And when you have the best quarterback in the NFL in a given season, odds are you are likely going to be very good. What's more is, yes, Aaron Rodgers played all of this season that Mike McCarthy was fired in for the Packers, but Aaron Rodgers went through a really rough stretch near the final years of Mike McCarthy's time in Green Bay. And for what it's worth, Mike McCarthy prevailed in those instances. In 2013, a year that Mike McCarthy has referenced several times, obviously as the head coach of the Cowboys, they lost Aaron Rodgers to a broken collarbone, and incidentally, they beat the Cowboys with Matt Flynn, came back 20-3. It was awful. Another December Cowboys collapse, whatever. They also had to deal with Aaron Rodgers' injury issues in 2015. So in totality here, Aaron Rodgers is not just super badass, but he's healthy. And so all of these things have lined up to really give the Packers just the most fortunate set of circumstances possible. It's annoying. It's frustrating. I'm with you. I get it. But it is a big reason for the Packers having success over the last 2 years. Meanwhile, you look at the Cowboys, and is Dak Prescott better than Aaron Rodgers? No, he's not. Nobody's going to tell you that with a straight face. I do think that prior to this season, when Aaron had this awakening of sorts, I think there was a legitimate argument to support that Dak, again, following the 2019 season, was a quarterback with a higher ceiling on a much higher trajectory with regards to the immediate short-term future than Aaron Rodgers. Again, all that data has been disproven by Aaron Rodgers, the God. But beyond having Aaron Rodgers, one of the best quarterbacks to ever play, having one of his best seasons, if not his absolute best season in the NFL, the Packers have a lot of other offensive superstars. Aaron Jones. All right, now, show of hands. Wherever you are, wherever you're watching this, maybe you're watching it on your phone, on your tablet, on your computer. Maybe you're supposed to be working. Maybe you're watching this while you're on a Zoom call. Just look like this. If you're on a Zoom call, look like this so that everybody thinks you're interested. Yeah. For sure. No, I agree. Totally agree. See, right there. Everybody bought it. Come back here. All right, welcome back. Anyway, Aaron Jones is, show of hands, who agrees, a better running back at the moment than Ezekiel Elliott. We all agree? Oh, let's get in the camera. We all right here. We all agree. High five, everybody, like Tom Brady and the referee in New Orleans. Aaron Jones is maybe the best running back in the NFL at the moment. All of these things, though, are, working in harmony. It's all copacetic, all right? Aaron Jones is having the success that he's having because the Packers' passing game is on fire. And Matt LaFleur deserves a lot of credit for this, but Aaron Jones deserves a lot of credit for this. And Aaron Jones never had a 1,000-yard season prior to 2019 because he never saw the workload that he got. He also was a younger and more inexperienced player in the NFL at the time. And so, yeah, it sucks that it's working to the Packers' favor, and all of this is really just a conversation about narrative, right? How is Mike McCarthy perceived? All of this works to the negative side of that argument that Mike McCarthy was the problem, that Aaron Jones didn't get carries or wasn't talented because Mike McCarthy was there. It's never a consideration that maybe Aaron Jones just wasn't ready. Maybe everything was a little bit, off to a certain degree, and when you're a little bit off in the NFL, it shows up in a very large way. And so Aaron Jones finding himself has certainly made the Packers a much larger threat, given them a higher level of consistency. Again, we've acknowledged that Aaron Rodgers has had the best season of any quarterback in the NFL this year. Maybe Derrick Henry has had a better season than Aaron Jones, going over 2,000 yards. Certainly maybe puts you in the conversation there. But the point is, Aaron Rodgers is the top one quarterback in the NFL right now. One, single, uno. Aaron Jones is the top what? Top three running back, right? I think that's fair. I think at a certain point this past season, he was maybe in the top five, maybe a little bit outside of that when Dalvin Cook was still cooking a lot. But I think, if you told me the top three running backs in the NFL were Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, Alvin Kamara, in whatever order you wanted to put them, I don't know how anybody could disagree with you with a straight face. So the Packers have a top one quarterback, a top three running back, and oh yeah, they have the best wide receiver in the NFL, which is part of what makes Aaron Rodgers really good. Now, this is the part of the conversation where the Cowboys are most evenly matched, I suppose, with the Green Bay Packers, in that Davante Adams is, I believe, the best wide receiver in the NFL. And this is something that kind of floats, over time. Michael Thomas, although had no catches in the divisional round, held this title, if you want to call it that, for a little bit. I think Tyreek Hill's talent certainly puts him in consideration here. But I don't know of a receiver in the NFL that's better right now than Davante Adams. So you have a top one quarterback, you have a top three running back, you have a top one wide receiver, and good results are going to happen. Your offense is going to be awesome. And that is just what's happening. And Davante Adams was awesome when Mike McCarthy was there. And yes, the Cowboys have Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup and now CeeDee Lamb. But you know what the Cowboys only had for 4 full games? Mike McCarthy didn't even have Dak Prescott for 5 full games. And so, yes, it's fair to look at this and say, man, why wasn't all this happening this consistently when Mike McCarthy was there? Well, Davante Adams was kind of breaking out, but guess what? He's broken out. Davante Adams has become an absolute stud as of late, and, it's just unfortunate timing. It's unfortunate timing that really, again, lines up to the negative side of the narrative when it comes to Mike McCarthy. But, even though we've already talked about the super awesome weapons that the Green Bay Packers have on offense, even though we've already talked about Matt LaFleur being a legitimate head coach and all these things having nothing to do with Mike McCarthy, the thing that has made the biggest difference for Mike McCarthy when it's come to this discussion, whether the Cowboys should be worried, whether you should be worried, whether I should be worried, whether the Green Bay Packers are having the success that they're having because Mike McCarthy's gone, here's what I think. I think that when NFL teams hit a low, and we'll use the New Orleans Saints as an example in this moment because they lost the division around, the New Orleans Saints are likely going to, over the course of the offseason, sit down, maybe, have a nice, Capri Sun, whatever, and have a conversation, a long, hard conversation, a long and hard look in the mirror and say, where did we go wrong? Because we have a lot of talent, and we have a lot of talent, and so we should be doing better than this. So what are we doing wrong? And I think that when the Green Bay Packers organization, a very well-run organization in the NFL, had that talk, had that moment of self-reflection, I think the Packers said, okay, it was just time. The Mike McCarthy era had run its course. People had gotten a little bit stagnant. Everybody involved had gotten a little bit stagnant. Everybody needs a bit of a motivating factor, right? Aaron Rodgers got a bit of a motivating factor. Aaron Jones got a bit of a motivating factor. Davante Adams got a bit of a motivating factor. And perhaps the, stingiest front office in the NFL had a motivating factor. If you are unaware, the Green Bay Packers historically, forever, like all of time, because Green Bay Packers, pro football's cathedral, have been around forever. The Green Bay Packers have never been a team that has dipped their toes in the free agency waters. They've been all about homegrown talent. We build through the draft, which is a model that the Dallas Cowboys have adopted that we don't totally support. Cowboys, go spend money in free agency. There's dudes out there. You've got the cash. Spend anyway. Not the topic we're discussing today, but we will later on. So make sure you subscribe here to the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel. Anyway, the Green Bay Packers seemingly, after their self-analyzation in the spring, early spring, winter, whatever you want to call it, January-ish of 2019, said, okay, we've got Aaron Rodgers, we've got Aaron Jones, we've got Davante Adams, we've got all these things moving and grooving. We got to get some help on the defensive side of the ball because our defense is not great, man. We need some help because we can have all this firepower on offense, but if we're just giving everything up when we're on defense, what good is it? So, yeah, we only have so many draft picks. Sure, we like Kevin King. We like all these other players we're going to draft, but we need help. We have to go get players that we believe in can help us on the defensive side of the ball. Let's go get some pass rushers, and that's what the Green Bay Packers did. Za'Darius Smith, who has been awesome for them since he arrived with them, again, in very early 2019, he was a big time, especially when you look at it through a Packers lens, move that their front office made. Because why? The Packers realized that they had to make an organizational shift. And I think that to call Mike McCarthy the scapegoat of that is not the right term, but I think that that's the breakup, right? Like sometimes people break up with someone, they say, you know what? I got to hit the gym more, right? Like I got to start getting to bed earlier. I got to start eating right? And those things like had nothing to do with the person that they were with, but they're just decisions that the actual breakup served as a catalyst to engineer. And that's what kind of happened with the Green Bay Packers when it came to Mike McCarthy. That breakup served as a huge neon glaring cheese curd flavored sign, because you got to talk about cheese curds when you're talking about the Green Bay Packers, that said we have to change the way that we do things. And if all the Packers had done was just change head coaches, that's doing nothing, right? Like what's the quote? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results is the definition of insanity, whatever the proverb is. Either way, the Packers said, okay, we're going to move on from Mike McCarthy. Yes, we're committed to that, but we're also going to do things differently. We're going to go and we're going to pay for defensive talent. We're going to get an elite edge rusher in Za'Darius Smith that can make a difference for us week in and week out in the NFL. And guess what? He has. And guess what? If, they're selling stuff, let's buy multiple things. Let's get another edge rusher in Preston Smith. And that's what the Packers have done. The Packers pass rush, as great as Aaron Rodgers and Aaron Jones and Davante Adams and these dudes that we're talking about, and Robert Tonyan and Alan Lazard, whatever, as great as they all are, it significantly helps them that their defense can ball out too. And is their defense as good as their offense? No, because they have one of the best offenses in the NFL. But their defense is also a legitimate strength, and not, we say all the time when it comes to the Cowboys, and let's go raise your hand again. Raise your hand if you've said this to somebody in your life. The Cowboys defense just needs to be average. It doesn't have to be good. It just has to be average. As long as if we're just average, man, Dak and everybody can take care of the rest. So they just have to be average. They just have to not be the worst ever, and we'll be okay. And that's a fair line of thought. I'm not trying to be like the guy that's, oh man, back in the day, the standard was so much higher. The 1992 Dallas Cowboys were the number one defense in the land. What happened to America's team? I'm not saying that. However, it would be better, obviously, if you were better than average. And the Green Bay Packers said, yeah, we can shoot for average, or we can go get these two awesome edge rushers and we can be a little bit better than average. And that can really heighten and elevate our overall odds to the point that, I don't know, maybe after 2 years, we'll be 26-6 with back-to-back appearances in the NFC title game. That can really help. In fact, let's take a look at the impact the Green Bay Packers defense has made. This tweet from NFL Next Gen Stats on December 27th. The Packers generated a 35.7% team pressure rate, their third highest in a game this season. Again, this was when they played the Tennessee Titans on Sunday Night Football. 3 of the Packers' 4 highest pressure rates have come since week 13. All right, so they're playing their best football late in the season. That's kind of a good idea. Za'Darius Smith, Rashawn Gary, and Preston Smith, 2 of the players we've talked about here who they added early on in the 2019 calendar year, all forced, and look at that word, turnover. I'm really proud of the technology that we have here to do this show like this now, but don't have the squiggly line to do it while we're talking. A turnover. Highlight that word, turnover from pressure. I like turnovers. You like turnovers. The game of football likes turnovers. Give us some turnovers. Go get some dudes that can generate some turnovers for you in late December football games like Za'Darius Smith and Preston Smith did for them, the Green Bay Packers loosened the purse strings, and guess what happened? All of a sudden, they turned into a defense that could do the most important thing that a defense needs to do at the most important time of the year. So if you're sitting here wondering whether it's fair to worry about Mike McCarthy now that the Packers have had all this success, see how flustered I am? Sure, it's fair. On the surface, it's fair. It makes sense to say out loud whether we should be concerned about Mike McCarthy, but we should also inject the level of context that Mike McCarthy's Cowboys don't have the same level of help or resources or really just normal talent that the Packers have had for the last 2 years. Yes, the Packers are insanely talented. Of course, the Packers have one of the best quarterbacks to ever play. Obviously, as we've proven, the Packers have invested in the weakest part of their game, which has made them even better and more invincible overall. What's more is the Packers did not see their star franchise quarterback, who, by the way, still needs a new deal, all right? They have not seen that dude get hurt. The Cowboys, think about this. Mike McCarthy took over the Cowboys' job. That's, nobody's penalizing him for that. He took over it knowing the whole situation. But the Cowboys front office, while Mike McCarthy has his flaws, and I think that there are a number of them, I think that we should also say he's not being totally given a completely fair shake. Yes, the Cowboys, team said, here's CeeDee Lamb, have fun. Great job. Awesome pick. Nobody has a problem with this. But the Cowboys defense, where the Packers front office said, hey, Matt LaFleur, here's Za'Darius Smith, here's Preston Smith. The Cowboys front office came to Mike McCarthy and said, hey, Mike, come here. Come to my office. Here's Daryl Worley. Here's Dontari Poe. That's right. Here's Ha Clinton Dix, your old pal. Right? I know. Thank me later. I'll see you at lunch. Have a good one, man. Have a great rest of your day. No! Give Mike McCarthy's defense, if you're going to go through the trouble of firing a defensive coordinator like the Cowboys did in Mike Nolan, and you're going to bring in a new one in Dan Quinn, who the Cowboys gave a 3-year extension to, go spend some money on some players. That is what needs to change. I'm not saying that's the only reason that the Packers are having this success post Mike McCarthy, but that particular element of this and the difference that it provides highlights some of the largest adjustments that the Packers have made in their overall disposition, their overall approach to how they run a football team, which is part of why they're having the success they're having. Part of it is Aaron Rodgers, part of it is Matt LaFleur, part of it is all these things, but part of it is also the Green Bay Packers have gotten a little bit more dedicated, and we all want to see the Dallas Cowboys sort of show that same level of dedication, especially if the Cowboys are going to be in this, all right? They have given Kellen Moore a 3-year contract extension. They've given Dan Quinn a new 3-year deal. We know seemingly now that is the time frame. That is the window that we are operating with. You can't just give the coordinators the deals. You can't just, drag your feet on paying the most important person in the organization and Dak Prescott. You got to go do some stuff, man. You got to go, this has to be a move of action. And the Green Bay Packers identified that. And the firing of Mike McCarthy spurred that for them. There's no question about that. It ultimately, being frank, was clearly a good thing for them because it generated the necessary change that the Green Bay Packers had to undergo, had to experience to get to the point that they're at, where they're probably going to win the NFC and go to the Super Bowl and maybe even win the whole thing. And that would not have happened if they had not had that proverbial fire lit under them. And it happened because of the breakup that they had with Mike McCarthy. And the Cowboys, learn from that. Look at what the Green Bay Packers went through. You don't have to fire Mike McCarthy to experience it. He certainly deserves an opportunity to prove his full and total worth to you, but learn from the mistakes that his previous employer went through and had the opportunity to rectify and is now reaping the benefits from rectifying. That is what we all need to ask of the Dallas Cowboys over the course of the next few months. Needless to say, it would suck a lot from a narrative standpoint, because that's what this is. This is all a narrative conversation. It would suck a lot if after Mike McCarthy's first year with the Dallas Cowboys that on paper did not look great, but certainly had legitimate flaws as far as he was concerned, if the Green Bay Packers won the Super Bowl. It would drive the narrative in a further direction that highlights that he's the problem. Did Mike McCarthy have flaws in Green Bay? Of course. A lot's been said and written and talked about with regards to that time. But Mike McCarthy also had a lot of success, and I think we all, myself included, tend to get a little bit frustrated and emotional about it, and we look past that. And I'm not saying go all in with Mike McCarthy. I know it's hard to trust him and trust this era at the moment for the Cowboys. But ask more of the front office, because Mike McCarthy can only do so much, which should be a lot. but he can only do so much, and the Green Bay Packers seemingly realized that and didn't make the same mistake with Matt LaFleur that they did for so long with Mike McCarthy. So we'll see what happens, but I don't think we need to be worried, but it is definitely an annoying conversation. So, when your friends bring it up, just tell them, hey, chill out. Go get me Za'Darius Smith. That's all you got to say. Hey, have a great week. All right, have a great week. The conference championships are here. There's only 3 more games left in the NFL season, and then focus fully shifts to the 2021 season for all 32 NFL teams. I think there's legitimate reason to be excited about the Dallas Cowboys. We're going to keep talking about that here on the Blog on the Boys YouTube channel. Make sure you do subscribe so you don't miss any one of our wonderful episodes. We do live streams, we do film reviews, we do game recaps, we do fun discussions. So we certainly want to experience all of that with you. Make sure you subscribe to the Blog on the Boys podcast network. We put out a podcast every single day, different people talking about America's team. We are available on all major podcast platforms. I'm RJ Ochoa. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at RJ Ochoa. You can do me a huge favor though. All right. I don't ask you of much, but do me a solid, do me a huge favor and have the absolute best day of all time. You know why? Because you deserve it. We'll see you next time.